this. I'm not going to get partisan on you, but I want to make a point that we get together on, we're together on 20% of the issues, 80-20 probably, or is it 82-18? Is it 90-10 that we agree on the issues? Is it that the number? But I can tell you on what's going on in Washington with the Pelosi gang and the Barack Obama administration, the numbers are the opposite of that. It's more like 10% that we would agree with them. So I don't know. It's about time we dealing with them. So what does this all mean? Well, leading up to the American Revolution, there was a tea party in the Boston Harbor. The American colonists involved in watching, they didn't agree with everything. John Adams was skeptical. His cousin Sam Adams was ready to fight. John Hancock was resolved to protect his business interest. But they knew one thing: they must unite or die. That was their pledge, and that's what they had to deal with. So what we have to do is we agree on more principles in the Republican Party, and I'm not going to get too partisan here, but we agree on those essential and critical things. We agree more than we disagree. History lessons can be valuable at times like this. Ronald Reagan and Abraham Lincoln said something like this: if we forget our history and where we came from, we will forget who we are. Edith Stein, a Jewish woman who was a Catholic nun, who was put to death at Auschwitz, said, "A nation doesn't simply need what we have, it needs who we are." So who are we? Is that possible that that's the most important question of the day? Who are we? I believe that it is. The foundational, fundamental, and the most significant document, the blueprint for living as Americans in a free society. The United States Constitution begins with these words. And there's no other document like this that begins with these words: we the people. We the people. That's you, that's you, that's you, and that's me. We the people. You look at most other government documents around the world, it's we the government. There's a lot of talk out there today about our system of government in America, that it's not the best form of government for freedom. Could that be be related to who's running the show today in Washington? I don't know. But I've been hearing a lot that America is on its way to becoming a third world country. They're also saying that capitalism and free enterprise markets cannot be trusted to create jobs. Government regulation is required to stabilize the economy. Equality must be established for true freedom to exist. They're saying interim individual freedom must be sacrificed. Or a benevolent dictatorship would be better than a corrupt republic. I don't know if any of you have heard that lately, but I have, and I'm sick and tired of it. Because I think it's really more about what came out of the American Revolution. That's what we believe. We're not in favor of oppressive taxation without representation. Some Patriots are shrunk back, but tyranny like hell is not easily conquered. And the people said, "Give me liberty or give me death." In World War II, Winston Churchill, when he stood up to Hitler and said, "Never give up," it was at a point when France looked like it would fall. He would ask, what would happen if the Germans crossed the English Channel? He said, "We'll drown as many as possible, and if any manage to make it to our shore, we'll beat them back with our fist." When the world realized he wasn't giving in, they joined in the fight, and we defeated Hitler. Now we're at a critical juncture when security is touted as more important than freedom. That wealth should be redistributed, and there's a clear disdain for individualism and personal liberty. Virtue has gone the way of moral relativism. John Adams said it this way: the Constitution of the United States was written to govern a moral and religious people and is unfit to govern any other. You see, you are the people. You have the script. We have this document called the Constitution. You've read it. You believe it. You follow it. You're not sunshine patriots. You're the ones that reminded us that the Constitution is the document that we need to live by. You are sparking a new birth of freedom so that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people will not perish from this earth. It is not what you have to offer, your education, your special talents, as much as the fact that you are Americans. You're born free. and willing to do what it takes to live free. Ronald Reagan said, "There's no arsenal on earth more powerful than the moral courage of free men and women." So I'll just make a couple points of what we must do. Number one, we must educate ourselves, our neighbors, and our friends and talk about the Constitution. When I showed up today, a gentleman came up and gave me a document called the Tea Party Primer. It has the Constitution in it. We need to read it. We need to hold our elected officials accountable to that Constitution, not only our federal but our state Constitution. So we must educate ourselves. A free society that operates from informed consent is required, or it becomes a farce or a tragedy or both. We need to encourage our elected officials to listen to the constituents. For those of you that are out here, that we hold them accountable to what they promised when they were running for office, that they do it. We can't stand on what they say and then go to that legislative session and not do it. You know, it's not what happens on November 2nd that's the most important. What I would challenge you, it happens on November 3rd, the day after the election. It's what happens in December when our legislators have their pre-session up here. It's in January when they're passing bills. We got to hold them accountable for what they promised they said they would do. We got to hold Congress responsible for what they said they would do. And I would say you need to stay engaged much beyond this legislative session. We have 2012 to deal with. We got Barack Obama for 2 more years. You need to get involved in the political process. You need to get involved in a local Republican district, and if you want to go to a Democrat district and take it over, do that too. But you got to be involved in the political process. Run for city commission, park board, legislature, run for Congress. It requires eternal vigilance to keep a republic alive. We must keep the energy and stay involved. And lastly, if you're not willing to be involved in politics, which has become a dirty word, you must be satisfied with being governed by your inferiors. Are you tired of that? If you're tired of that, it's time to step up and take back this country. Thank you very much.